Next, we would like to invite Reverend Nick Table to come and say a few words. Reverend Nick of the Unitarian Universalist congregation next door has been an amazing friend and partner as we work together to build an interfaith community in Columbus, Indiana. Please welcome Reverend Nick Cable.
The divine within me bows to the divine within you. Namaste. I am the Reverend Nick Cable, and I serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Columbus, Indiana. I invite you to look around. We are gathered today on holy ground, sacred ground that is made holy by our shared presence with one another. There is a Chinese proverb that suggests the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now. And yet, the ground that will be broken today for the Sri Ganesh Mandir has been tended and prepared for this moment for quite some time. It is only fitting, then, that the great poet Marge Piercy says, "Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking at what is happening. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet." And so I believe it is fair to say that in this community, in our beautiful, diverse city, here we are all tree planters. It is the Columbus way. We plant and we tend, we plant and we tend, and we dream of forests where lush vegetation and life abounds. Well, just look around. My friends, today we are witnessing another planting, another affirmation of the Columbus way, which is that we value the divine spark within every person. We value the beauty found in every culture and religion. We value all the ways we are different and all the ways we are nevertheless connected and united, even if it is just beneath the surface. But that is changing. Our connections, our care for one another as an interfaith community is springing up all around us. This Hindu temple will be a lasting reminder of the beauty and courage of our wider community. It will be a holy place where children and adults of all ages can come to learn and grow and worship together. May Ganesh bless this holy day. May we all celebrate these sacred connections, our roots, and our springing dreams for the future. Namaste. That divine within me bows to the divine within you. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend, for your good wishes and constant support. Next, we would like to call up Vasu Iyer. Vasu ji, past president of the Hindu community, and Lalita ji have been involved in the Hindu community since the early 2000s. Right from the beginning, they have worked hard to provide our community with a space for worship and celebration of our culture and festivals.
Thank you, Pavitra. Thank you, Reverend. Super excited, everyone. Good day. I'm Vasu Iyer. I'm honored to represent 25 to 50 families of the Indian community that gathered to worship back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. In the summer of 1987, a picnic was held, about 10 families at Seraland. And that's when the journey began. In the late 80s to the early 90s, the families met in the Briarwood apartments in Columbus once a month for a prayer group. Then Madhu Vedak led the Satyanarayan Katha with 5 to 10 families in attendance at the First United Methodist Church. Later, the families found a partner in Unitarian congregation which was located on the 8th Street in downtown Columbus. Reverend Nick just reminded me that this pulpit has been there with the Unitarian ever since. The Tuckers, the Patels, Kalsis, Pareks, Rangnath, Ishwar and Shobha Moni, Vijay Raji and Shankar Raja, and Narsinganis were all the main families that kept the religious fervor going. Narsinganis, Ashok Parekh, would you mind just standing up, please? Please get up, Tony, Shobha. They have been ever since. And they planted the seed for what we are doing right now. Thank you. In late 99, when Lalita and I arrived in Columbus, we sought a place of worship. The nearest temple was 75 miles away in Louisville. We were thrilled to learn about the Hindu Worship Society. Get-togethers were opportunities to celebrate our festivals and enjoy homemade potluck food. We still recall the Diwali function with all the dances and skits performed by the Narsingani family here. Our partnership with the Unitarian grew and strengthened in 2000s. In their new location, a puja cabinet was built. A link that joined the families was food and a desire for a place to practice spirituality. There were casual discussions for a temple of our own. Gurukul activities were started by Vijay Gopal and Shankar Raja, which boosted the puja attendance. Ever since, the community hasn't looked back. Special thanks to Mandar and Rajshri Dev, who helped solidify the puja experience through their guidance and knowledge. A quick speech cannot do justice to the rich history leading to this wonderful day. This initial dream of these 25 to 50 families is finally coming true after 25 years. We would like each of you to maintain this level of support and commitment in the future. Congratulations to all of you for coming today and making yourself a part of this history. Ganpati Bappa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Basuji. Next, we are proud to welcome the Mayor of Columbus, Indiana, Mayor Jim Lunup. Mayor Lunup has been a strong supporter of our community, and we are honored to have him here today. Please welcome Mayor Jim Lunup.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Congratulations. Congratulations and thanks to the Hindu Society of Southern Indiana. Our congratulations are for this auspicious day, this groundbreaking for your new temple, and our thank you is for inviting us to participate. In Columbus, we are proud of the many firsts that occur here, and we are especially proud to see one more example of how some among us place even deeper roots into our community. But today's event represents something very American, and I'd like to take a few moments to explain why. I'd like to take you a little bit of a history lesson. The people who came to North America did so in search of something. You see, the history of our country can be viewed in three segments, three searches for three types of what I might call freedoms or opportunities. I'll use those words interchangeably. Nonetheless, immigrants sought freedoms or opportunities of three types: religious, political, and economic. Those who came to North America early, before our country was a country, did so for religious reasons. The first pilgrims, or sometimes we call them Puritans, whose ship landed near Boston in the early 1600s, sought freedom to practice their religion, free from the influence of kings and princes. That search for religious freedom would continue and would dominate immigration to North America for about a century. Following, during the 1700s, the early 1800s, the search for religious opportunity continued, but others began to come here in search of political freedom. Again, freedom from kings and princes, their wars, and limitations on civil liberties. And after that, starting in the late 1800s, we see people coming in search of economic opportunity. The economies that existed in Europe and Asia provided few paths for economic improvement, and we see that repeated today. You know, again, the search for the three freedoms, religion, political, economic, we see that played out again today. And so this is a very American activity that is on display here today. We see people who have come halfway around the world for economic opportunity and advancement. They have brought with them their religion, and now they will have a place in which to practice it. As I mentioned, this is a very American thing to do, and we in Columbus are proud to see these historical perspectives play out to become reality in our midst. So once again, congratulations on today's achievement. Thanks for including us, and let me add to that a welcome for placing your story alongside that of the rest of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We would now like to invite John Burnett, who will be reading a message from Will Miller, member of the Irwin Miller Sweeney family and son of J.I. Miller. Mr. Burnett is the CEO of the Community Education Coalition, a nationally recognized not-for-profit organization committed to the development of our community. Please welcome Mr. Burnett.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be here today, and I've not often been asked to speak on behalf of the Miller family, but I'm quite honored to do that. Many of you know Will Miller. He's a longtime community leader, business leader. He's also on the Cummins Board of Directors. He's a philanthropist, and he's also the son, as has been mentioned, of Irwin and Xenia Miller. He could not be here today, but he asked if I would be willing to share a few thoughts with you directly from the heart of Will on behalf of his entire family. A little feedback here. On behalf of all the members of the Irwin Sweeney Miller family, we want to congratulate the Hindu Society of Southern Indiana on the groundbreaking for your new temple in Columbus. This is a wonderful accomplishment. My ancestors were Christians, members of and leaders in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, the only one of the mainline Protestant denominations in the United States to have originated here rather than in Europe. Our faith is grounded in the communitarian values of early settlers, but in recent generations also heavily influenced by active involvement in ecumenical and interfaith efforts in the mid-20th century, including the National Council of Churches, of which my father was president in the 60s, and the Civil Rights Movement. We are Christians who hear in Christ's message more of the love your neighbor as yourself than a sense of ours is the one true God. We share a deep and abiding respect for all forms of religious belief and expression. The health of a community, my father often said, can be judged by how well it takes care of its least fortunate and those not like us, however us is defined. A good community is one in which all its institutions, including its churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples, work together to reduce inequity. In that spirit, I know my dad, my mom, my aunt, and our entire family would be pleased that the Hindu Society of Southern Indiana is building its new home here. And we would encourage you to remain actively involved in the interfaith dialogue in the community that we will help shape as Columbus looks to its future for the better. Congratulations. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Mr. Burnett. Now we will call upon Mr. Ashish Paliwal, President-elect of Southern Indiana, Hindu Society of Southern Indiana. If you've been to any of our events, You have seen how dedicated Ashish Ji has been, helping out wherever needed, with a smile and some friendly words to share. We're excited to have him be our next president and hear what he has to say. Please welcome Mr. Ashish Paliwal.
Namaste. On this auspicious day, I love to reflect on our journey to this point. HSSI was formed in 2010 when a group of 5-7 people decided that we should have our own place of worship here in Columbus. It has taken us almost 10 years to reach to this point, but we have been constantly taking baby steps in this direction. We started off with having Sunday school, which is called as Gurukul, providing our little ones a gentle introduction to Hinduism. We conducted classical music and dance classes. Those days, we did not have a regular place to meet. We met at different locations, but we kept at it all the time looking for a suitable facility that we could call our own. Finally, we bought this 2-acre land in 2015 and inaugurated our temporary temple in 2016. Since that time, we have kept the temple open every day with the help of all our selfless volunteers. Indeed, as I look back on our journey, what impresses and touches me most, the can-do attitude of so many dedicated people who have lent their skills and time for this cause. I will be remiss if I mention just a few names during this short speech. You know who you are. Please know that we are grateful for all that you have done and continue to do for this temple. I am happy we decided to build temple here adjacent to the UUCCI. We have a lot in common, our values, our kinship, our shared belief in a universal truth. Though the individual path of different faiths may vary, it gives me immense pleasure to see so many familiar faces from the UUCCI congregation here. I am looking forward to what we can build together over the next few years as an interfaith community where people from different cultures can coexist, commingle, and enrich each other to lead a more meaningful life. Thank you.
Namaste. Hey, I'm flooded with positive feelings of enormous emotions at this moment. And I feel excited, I feel grateful, and I feel hopeful. And let me explain why I feel this way at this moment. I'm excited for many reasons. Look at this, that we have over 1,000 people in this small community in Indiana. That is just remarkable. How about a round of applause for these 1,000 people that are here? I'm equally excited about what got us here and what is likely to happen in the next few years as well. I'm grateful to so many people that are sitting here. Without the help of many of you, we would not have been able to purchase this property outright in 2015. Since then, you all have pledged over $500,000 for the construction of this facility, and you've been remarkably generous with your donations of both kind as well as time and money, and for that I'm really grateful. Equally, over 75 people that Ashish said have been keeping this temple open for the last 3 years every day, not because someone asked them to do, because they wanted to do that. Equally, this particular event, with a volunteer group of over 150 people, put this together, not again because it was their thing to do, but it is a community event to happen. And this feels like, to many of us that have lived and worked and been in India, that feels like a community wedding, if you will, or a community groundbreaking. For that, I'm really grateful for all of you. Many teach Indian languages, many teach classical music, many teach dance, and many teach kids' Sunday school every week. And they do this with a passion, not because somebody is paying them, but because they care. And for that, I'm grateful as well. In addition, particularly of the last 1 year, I'm grateful to Dr. TPS, our guru in residence, for starting to initiate us in some of the Indian scriptures, which most of them are in Sanskrit language, that many of us do not know, much like Latin for many of the Christian worship that you would have here. The Unitarian and Interfaith group that has given us the confidence to grow at our pace, for which I'm grateful as well. So many people that have helped us, for whom I'm personally grateful. And lastly, I'm hopeful of the future. And the reason why I'm hopeful is to know that in a town like Columbus, which has always been ahead of its times, and one that the best of its size, we're stitching together under the aspect of celebrating our faith through this Hindu temple. I'm hopeful for all our children and grandchildren that they'll be able to learn and practice the Hindu faith. I'm hopeful that our kids will be comfortable and accepting of themselves and their faith while truly integrating with the local community. I'm equally hopeful that the seeds of this interfaith work will blossom, such that every elementary school student in the BCSE school system, when they read world religions in their school, will actually be able to visit this temple and know how this particular Hindu faith is practiced, just as the Islamic faith is practiced, just as the Judaism is practiced, Buddhism is practiced, as well as Christianity is practiced. I'm also hopeful that we all will celebrate the goodness in all of us and to serve the community more. I know you would agree with me that when I say I'm confident that Ashish, as the president-elect of this society, will take us to new heights. I ask you to donate generously for this cause, both in time and in money, so that we can come back very soon for the grand opening of this temple. You all have been great, and thank you very much for all this stuff.
Thank you so much, Srikanti, for your encouragement.